Welcome to another video about Fails Components, the fancy automated internet lecture system. In today's video, we will learn how to stream audio and video during lectures. If you use audio and video transmission, your students can follow your presentation even if they have a light cold or are busy working for a living and cannot make it to class. Even if they are a bit late and still on the subway train, they can listen to your voice until they arrive in the hall to fully immerse themselves in your inspiring lecture. Let's get started. First, we must switch on the audio-video functionality for the running lecture. You can either press the button in the panel appearing at lecture start or access the button at any time in the options menu. If the button is missing, your school may not have deployed routers for audio-video transmission. After it is switched on, you are connected to one of your school's audio-video routers and can turn on and off audio, video, and screen share transmission and reception at any time. The audio-video routers for Fails can be deployed at different sites worldwide and distribute the audio-video traffic from you to your students and vice versa. The transmissions are fully end-to-end encrypted, so the routers do not know the contents of your lecture. Furthermore, the routers do not even know which lecture they are transmitting and who is connected to it, as they only have pseudonymized information about the content. Fails uses a transmission routing protocol with some similarity to the Onion protocol of Tor. Therefore, your students can safely participate in your lecture, even if they or the routers reside in a country with a potentially hostile environment. Fails relies on the latest web technologies for audio and video broadcasting, such as web codecs and web transport. However, not all of the features presented may yet be available on all browsers and devices. Let's turn on the video. Press the camera button. If necessary, you may select a different camera from the pop-up menu. Now, you have already started transmitting the video stream to your students. Let's use the monitor button to view the currently transmitted video. Well, now you can see how you coach your students. If multiple devices in different rooms are connected to the same lecture, the video from the currently active speaker will appear on the monitor video. Okay, now your students can see you. What a pleasure for them. But for a lecture, listening is more important. So turn on the microphone, and again, you may want to choose a different audio device from the drop-down menu. You can see the current audio level on the left-hand side of the monitor. You may also wish to hear colleagues connected to your lecture from other rooms, or your students asking questions. So turn on the speaker as well and select the correct audio device. Maybe you are not broadcasting from the university's lecture hall, but from your home, as your university is too poor or cheap to maintain proper heating during the winter. Then you may not want to share the details of your living situation with your students. For example, your special private art collection or the fancy villa you live in. Then turn on the background removal right beneath the camera selection. You can either blur the background or select a color of your choice. Okay, now we're ready for a real hybrid lecture. But what about the students? What steps do they have to take to listen to your lecture using audio and video? Let's look at the student's perspective. Once you turn on audio and video, a button to join AV appears for the students. They can simply press the button, and then the AV panel appears. However, students have only buttons to turn on the display and the speaker. The microphone and camera are not available here. So let's turn it on. Of course, the students can choose to join only via audio or only via video, to save bandwidth or to have sound and display on separate devices. Or they may have other reasons to turn off video or audio. But what if a student wants to ask a question and speak to you directly rather than typing a message? Or what if a student wants to show you something? Let's visit AV questions. While connected to the AV network, the student presses the message button, types in a message as usual, selects that it should be a video question and sends the message. Next, the message appears on your lecture screen, and you can decide whether to grant or deny the student the posting of an AV question. Well, let's be nice and allow the student to pose the question. The display for the chat message appears on your screen and the student's screen. The student can now activate audio and video as desired and transmit the question to the lecture hall. The controls and privacy features are the same as for you in the main lecture. Once you see your student, you may feel connected or relieved to have provided a hybrid lecture experience. Of course, you can also use the audio-video reception on a separate screen to transmit to another lecture hall. Fails is excellent for writing down your lecture interactively with a pen, but some topics require a different form of presentation. Some lecturers prefer using presentation software such as PowerPoint, Keynote, Impress, Prezi, or others for the main lecture, and software like Fails only for illustrative calculations. Or think of the explosive experiments in physics and chemistry, which should be transmitted to the student in full screen from a camera. In these cases, you can still use Fails to transmit your lecture, as the audio-video feature is also a screen sharing feature. First, we start by pressing the screen sharing button. You can select whether to share a part of your screen or another video input device. Well, we chose a boring PowerPoint presentation as an example. Wow, now the presentation and the Fails handwriting are transmitted to the students. The students' view automatically switches using motion detection between presentation and handwriting. However, students can choose to control the switching between the two modes by themselves via the unlock button. That's it about Fails audio, video, and screen sharing feature from the lecturer's perspective. I am Emma, and I was happy to be your host for this video. I am not a human but a voice from Microsoft Azure text-to-speech service. Please check out the other videos about Fails components. I wish you happy failing.